Hello, and welcome to another episode of On Occasion. I'm Canaan.
And I'm Chris.
And what are we talking about today? What do you always do this whenever we start.
I know. Well, it's On Occasion with Canaan and Chris now.
No, it's not. Oh, yeah. Well, the issue is I start with...
I know.
Yeah.
That's fine. There's no issues.
Hold on. Let's do the thing. Hey, welcome to another podcast episode of On Occasion.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Canaan. Hey,
On Occasion with Chris and Canaan.
We nailed it. Now we got it that time.
I just kind of want to brag about ourselves for a second.
Okay, let's do it.
Because
you start.
We got up this morning at 6 and we worked out together.
Yeah, we did.
Did a little some circuit training.
Yep.
That's all.
What else? Oh, that's all. You just wanted to put a plug in that we were active this morning?
Yeah, we're healthy guys. Healthy dads.
We're so healthy.
What'd you do after the workout?
After I showered, I found a guy on Craigslist who sells beaver tranquilizer. So I put that in my bum.
That was the thing you needed to do next, was find beaver tranquilizer?
It keeps that pump going, that beaver tranquilizer. So I have no idea what the side effects are. I do have flare-ups of aggression. Mm. So I've only taken it 3 times so far, but
I did see you chewing on a tree the other day.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the beaver tranquilizer, but regardless, there's been some weird activity happening since I started. Then I showered, and then I had coffee with my wife, and we out on the patio, and we chatted a bit about the morning and the week so far, and as it's Tuesday, and it was good. And then I came here.
Oh, good.
Yeah. What about you?
Took a shower as well. No Craigslist for me today.
No beaver tranquilizer in your life?
Though I've thought about Craigslist a little bit lately because when my dad died in 2018, I got this notebook of his and it has all his login information for everything. Bank accounts, just everything. Yeah. Including Craigslist. But I've never attempted to log in anything because my stepmom's alive. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I did come across this notebook recently and I saw the Craigslist there and I was like, man, do I want to try to log into his Craigslist? But I don't.
What would you do?
Well,
would you put like sneaky connects out?
No, I think because my dad was kind of a private person, I don't really know as much about him as I'd like to.
Gotcha.
But I'm like, learning things about my dad through Craigslist could be more than I want to know. Because I don't know.
I really feel like that's dangerous territory.
He left my mom for my stepmom, so I'm like, I don't know.
Who knows what else he was in? Yeah, who knows what else he was into on Craigslist? Yeah. Craigslist can be a scary place.
Really?
I think so. I've found some weird stuff on Craigslist. Not because I was actively looking, of course, but...
Mr. FBI agent.
Yeah, FBI guy. But just because you stumble across things from time to time.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, what are we talking about today?
Right. Let's talk about first looks. I would want to propose, like, should you do a first look or not? But that's not my agenda. My agenda is you should do a first look.
Okay, so we're coming out strong with let's do it. Yeah. You should do a first look. Straightforward. We'll talk about the occasional reasons as to why you wouldn't do a first look. I think there are a couple that would make sense, but not very many. By and large, most couples, I would say, you need to do a first look.
Yeah.
You want to start out as to why?
Yeah, well, I think people probably know the history of the traditional method of not doing a first look.
Oh, of not doing a first look.
It comes from arranged marriages. My understanding, at least. I wasn't around. I just wasn't.
Like shotgun weddings or what?
No, I think just like maybe longer than 10 or 20 years ago, maybe hundreds of years ago. Arranged marriages and the idea that the bride and groom didn't see each other till the altar.
Right. Yeah.
And at least in a patriarchal society, the idea would be that maybe if a guy saw his woman ahead of time and she wasn't up to par,
which, like, dip. We're tearing down that patriarchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you and I are anti-patriarchy.
That's right.
If anything, I am pro-matriarchy.
I mean, we're just into powerful women is all.
Yeah.
That's pretty hot. So, but yeah, I mean, traditionally, there is no first look. And I get when couples are like, hey, we think it's special to see my significant other when we're walking down the aisle for the first time, like that being the unveiling sort of situation. But what that creates logistically on your wedding day is a lot of challenges and potentially situations that make the end result of at least your media experience less than optimal. Biggest thing being, if you don't do a first look and you don't do formals before the ceremony, you're then chasing light in the negative sense, like in a rushed sense. And then depending on the season, what time of the year you're doing it, if you don't do a first look and you have your typical ceremony, typically between 4:30 and 5:30, you are then doing your formals in the dark. And still to this day, doesn't matter who's telling the bride occasionally, whether it's the planner or the photographer or whoever. For some reason, brides are just like, oh, it'll be fine. I'm going to hold on to this value of seeing my person and coming down the aisle when we're coming down the aisle for the first time. And then they're always shocked when they get outside for formals and it's dark outside.
Right.
Like it looks like it's 10 p.m. And they're like, where'd the sun go?
Has that happened to you?
A lot.
They didn't know ahead of time?
No, we always communicate. We're like, okay, no problem. Right. You don't want to do a first look. This is your day. We respect that. Obviously we want you to this is your day. Like, if this is the value you hold, then absolutely. But then we always tell them, but just so you know, you will not have natural light for your formals. It will be in the dark. And therefore, we'll have to get creative with whatever ambient light is there, and we'll be filling with flash.
Right.
And so you're going to have a very specific look on your wedding day for your photos. And they're not always. Often, they are still surprised, even after communication on several points. And they're like, where's the sun? Why is it dark outside? I was like, well, you got married in November and the sun goes away at 4.
Right.
And your ceremony was at 5. So I'm not sure where we were thinking was going to happen here. That's like a big one.
Oh yeah. And that specifically for winter months when the time's changing and the sun's going down early. In the summer, if you don't want to do a first look,
no problem.
It's not my favorite, but I also find that I've mentioned this before on here, that people have an expiration on photos. At some point, people are like, I'm done with photos.
Yeah.
So I have found sometimes when people don't do a first look, even in the summer, by the time we get through like groomsmen portraits, bridesmaid portraits, the ceremony, family, people are just sort of done.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, let's just do like 10 minutes of formals, and you're like, okay, but then that means you're only going to have a very limited amount of photos of you and your, significant other or spouse at this point. So.
Right. Now that's a topic, because are you in the camp of pushing the couple to the limit in terms of like, how much can I possibly push them to get the photos?
I don't even know why you'd ask me that question.
That's not for me. And then if so, what is your motivation there? Like, to be like, okay, I'm going to milk this as long as I can milk this in terms of pushing the time schedule.
Well, my motivation is probably all sorts of, what's the word when things are mixed together? Maybe it's just mixed
together.
Convoluted. Yeah, because I want to give the best possible photos to my clients, but I also really I love when I'm able to walk away and be like, dude, I nailed it.
Yeah.
I got great photos today. And so my brain keeps coming up with new ideas. I just want to keep chasing them.
Nice.
So for me.
Now, like, if the couple is like obviously showing signs of photo fatigue, are you like, I'm going to push it. I'm going to push them through this. They're going to get through this. I'm going to make it happen. Or are you kind of like, we're at our max. That's
a good question.
We need to acknowledge the external signs of fatigue and give them a break or wrap up or whatever.
I start every photo session by saying, hey, if I have ideas or things you don't want to do, you just have to tell me. I was like, I feel like my job as the photographer is to be as creative as possible. Okay. Like, I want to be my best self for you. And you hired me because you've seen my work. So I'm going to push for that. But if I ask you to do something you don't want to do it, let me know.
Yeah.
I had a couple once. They did a first look. And then as soon as the first look was over, they told me they didn't want to kiss in any photos.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't
PDA is a thing.
Yeah, they didn't want to be PDA at all. And that's challenging,
Right.
Can we hug at least?
Yeah, I mean, we've had couples who have been the same way, where it's like I don't know. It's a weird thing, and obviously every couple's different. I'm not, like we already talked about, like values. Like, some people are like, we're not big on PDA at all. But that's going to limit some of the ideas that, kissing's a big part of the wedding day. I feel like, at least for me.
Yeah, for me too. I also
got jokes I've put into a routine for kissing and all sorts of stuff. And if they don't kiss, then I'm like, well, there goes 20% of my material.
What's a joke?
I've got one joke where I do this group shot every time where it's like groom pulls in the bride for a kiss. Everyone loses, freaks out. It's like a big cheer shot. Every time I'm like, I'm going to count it down. You're going to go in for the kiss. You guys are all going to lose your mind. I always say you got to lose your shit. Like it's the best kiss you've ever seen in your life. Like we're actively losing our minds. So I always give this spiel. And then I'm like, the best part is the groom is like, Matt is like, if you don't get it the first time, you get to kiss her again. And we just make a joke about you're just going to kiss her as many times as I need you to kiss her until we get the shot. It's not as funny as it is on the day. Right now, it sounds incredibly lame in this context.
I'm envisioning some sort of rom-com,
It nails every wedding.
Yeah.
I've never had a wedding where they're like, okay, yeah, all right, that's fine, I'll kiss her.
Come on, Matt.
But you do have shy grooms who will just sort of... Mm-hmm. One arm, and you got the dead arm down here, and they're just sort of...
I know. Always, yeah.
I don't know.
No dead arms, dude. That's a good tip. Just use your hands.
A good tip for grooms. It's a good tip for photographers. Photographers, pay attention to that dead arm. Mm-hmm. I always tell my grooms, I'm like, listen, this arm right here, your outside arm, either goes in your pocket or it goes on her. I was like, I don't care where you put it, but it has to be on her somewhere.
Right.
You cannot just leave this thing dangling.
Yeah.
And I'm real conscious of reminding the groom to be like, hey, touch your wife. Touch her. I need you to touch her. And when you say it loud enough in a public context, you have bystanders being like, what is that guy? Why is he doing that?
Hey, I want you to touch that woman.
Touch that woman over there. I need you to touch her. And it always, cops get called. There's legal. It turns into a whole mess.
That is fun, yeah.
But it's fun on the wedding day.
Cool. A nice thing about First Look too is they just create a natural moment. Whereas a lot of clients that come to me, they're like, we're real weird in front of the camera, which to me is like, whatever, that's fine. This is my job, right? It's our job to make you comfortable.
Yeah.
But a First Look is a moment where people I think they forget about the camera because they're seeing their person for the first time.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah.
And you always see the transition.
Something natural.
Yeah. You always see the transition in them where they see each other and then they're hyper focused on each other and it's different for everybody, how long. But then you always see when they're like, oh,
what do you want us to do now?
And they kind of the photographers are here. But it's always a great moment, even if it's not real emotional or dramatic. Without fail, it always calms the couple down. Mm-hmm. The couple always reorients.
I know, it's so nice.
They're not as nervous. They relax. You can see them physically relax when they see each other on a first look.
Yeah.
That's one of my biggest reasons for doing it is your photos are always better if you do that first look before the ceremony.
Right.
In my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's something cathartic about it where you're just the whole situation relaxes. They're more comfortable and calm. Bridal party has fun because their couple is having fun. Yeah, it just works better.
Yeah. And it opens up the timeline, right? Do the first look beforehand. That means you can do pretty much any portraits you need and get them out of the way before the wedding.
Yeah.
Even immediate family photos. Maybe not extended family because they're not there yet.
Right.
But you can just knock so much out. So after the ceremony, maybe do extended family photos, a couple more around sunset photos, and then enjoy your cocktail hour.
Well, this is how we approach every wedding when we always pitch a first look. And those are all the reasons we mentioned. We're like, listen, we are not trying to hold you hostage on your wedding day with photos. We want you to be present. We want you to enjoy your day, have time to celebrate with your friends and family. If we do a first look and family photos as much as we can before the ceremony, that just frees you up to party the rest of the night. And to just the rest of the night, then we're just documenting. Unless we go out for a sunset session, which is always great. But then for us too, I like it because then the rest of the night, we're not so bound to the limitations of the time we have for formals to be creative. That's where we get a lot of our fun documentary shots and our candids. And we are able to kind of play with the rest of the wedding guests and the bridal party with photos because we're not bound to the restrictions of the timeline anymore.
Yeah.
So that's another reason is creatively, I feel like it opens up to get more unique shots
Agreed.
on the wedding day. as opposed to just being bound to like, okay, ceremony's over. We're going to rush through family photos as fast as we can, try and chase the light until it's gone. And I've got a planner tracking me down for grand entrances. And then we're done.
Right.
Like, and then the rest of the night, we're like, well,
that was whatever we got. It's what you got.
Yeah.
Well, earlier you said that maybe there's reasons to not do a first look. Well, I can't think of a single reason to not do a first look unless
the biggest
you just
one
don't want to.
Is Catholic weddings. Or I say Catholic. It'd be liturgical weddings and cultural weddings. You know, so say for example, if we're doing an Indian wedding,
got it. Okay.
They have specific ceremonies tied in that those ceremonies are their first look.
Okay, I'm with you now.
And granted, you're shooting over multiple days, but you know, we were shooting this. You know, when we have shot a handful of Laotian weddings and everything, like they have full ceremonies that are just made for the first look, where it's like the groom starts down with his family and friends. They come down the street to the bride's house. It's like a reveal. Then there's a whole ceremony. It's like a whole thing. And with that, it's kind of built in.
Oh, so I didn't know that. Okay.
So it's not traditional in the sense of a Western wedding ceremony and day, but still a first look kind of built into it. And then with liturgical weddings, you know, with a Catholic wedding specifically, the ceremony is often like 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So there's not time to do a first look. There's really not time for really any formals typically before.
Gosh, I'm trying to think through Catholic weddings I've shot if they've done first looks.
Like, for example, I have one coming up next year. It'll be a big Catholic wedding in downtown Franklin. And we're probably going to start around 11 for getting ready stuff, wrap up getting ready stuff. And then the ceremony's at 1. So then, but then we'll have until 5, I think, for formals. So in that situation, the first look,
right?
Excuse me, doesn't even make any sense. So it doesn't work at that point.
Yeah, right. You don't want to do a first look at noon and have really
well,
bad
no, but then
lighting
like even the timeline doesn't even. We can't move into formals.
Right.
We don't have time.
People start getting ready at 7 a.m.
That's where those, like I said, it's limited. But
what's
where the first.
What's the earliest you've ever showed up to a wedding?
It was an Indian wedding, and it was I can't remember what the ceremony was, but we showed up at like 8 a.m.
What were you doing at 8 a.m.?
It was an actual like gosh, I cannot remember. I'm having a brain fart on what it was called. Anyway, we met at the temple, and a Hindu family, and it was some specific religious ceremony they were doing at the temple that we were photographing. But the funny thing was, this is one of our first Indian weddings. This is way back, and I've traveled abroad enough internationally to know of like
you're cosmopolitan, bro.
Event orientation versus time orientation with cultures. And for whatever reason, we forgot. We were just like 8 a.m. was the contracted time. So we were like 8 a.m. it is. People didn't show up till probably 9:30. People started rolling in. We were like, what the hell is going on right now? Did we miss the date or whatever? Were we wrong on the time? And then we realized, oh, this is just culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I showed up early. So I should say that's the earliest I've showed up, the earliest I've started shooting. Corporate's crazy. Like you'll start shooting at like 6:30 sometimes, which seems outrageous, but whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing I think we did a big Nigerian wedding, and that was also one of those where like you showed up super early and then folks were like rolling in 2 hours later. You're like, oh, I mean the couple didn't even show up.
Right, I've heard this about Nigerian weddings.
So that was like real intense because the whole day was like that. So it was like 10 hours of shooting is what was contracted. But realistically, we went way over that and started way before that because of cultural time differences.
Right. No, that makes sense.
So those would be other ways to like a first look would be helpful because you're kind of like, if we can get a first look in here, we'll get something at least.
Oh, you mean
if they're showing up late?
Got it.
So
yeah.
That would be another reason. But yeah, like I said, the reasons for to not do a first look are few, in my opinion. One of them being just cultural or religious.
Yeah. Okay. I think the earliest I've ever shown up, I mean, I used to have a contract that said you could just have me unlimited hours on your wedding day. Like my first 6 years of shooting, that's what it was.
Insane to me.
I'm not opposed to going back to that at some point if we get the luxury market one day.
Yeah, sure.
But currently, But I remember once I showed up at 7 a.m. This bride wanted me to show up for her friends doing yoga. And she was an older bride, so she was maybe in her, I don't know, she might have been in her mid-40s. So I show up at 7 a.m. and this like yoga instructor's there, and like all her bridesmaids and her bridesmaids are like in their whatever you do yoga in, and they're just looking at me like, who the hell are you? And they don't have makeup on. Like I was, I don't know, I was a newly minted photographer, so I just wasn't aware,
right?
Like how women are going to perceive a photographer in that moment.
Yeah. Not well.
No, but and the bride didn't tell her bridesmaids, so I was there, man. I took photos, but nobody wanted me there.
No,
nobody wanted me there.
I love situations like that because you're like, well, now I intentionally, if I have a bride, because occasionally a bride will ask me like, how early do you show up? I'm like, listen, I'll show up as early as you want, but do you want me to show up that early? Yeah. Like, what are you going to do with these photos? Like when you and your bridesmaids went out the night before, or you partied in your hotel room or whatever, instead of like getting enough sleep and being healthy and responsible. So then you wake up and you're like hungover, recovering. Everybody's like face down on the countertop trying to recover.
Why are they face down on the countertop?
When like people come out, wake up.
You mean they're like, okay,
they're just like
coffee. I thought they just slept on the counters.
No,
like, so
maybe. But like when that kind of stuff happens, I'm like, you don't want this. What are you going to do with these? You don't want these photos. I don't want to take these photos. Mm-hmm. I'd rather show up. We usually try and time it so that when we show up, process has already started, and people are typically at least have the start of a foundation of makeup and hair.
Tell us about the layers of makeup. Tell us about that, Canaan.
Like the layer, like
tell us how it all works, how it goes on.
Yeah, so I don't wear makeup as often as I used to, but when I did,
you're real pretty.
Yeah, I was so pretty. Now it's just some middle-aged man.
Yeah, but just like Kim Jong-un.
No, with those type of things, you don't want that. Don't do that to yourself, and don't do that to your photographer. Yeah, it's my opinion. Do you have any crazy first look stories?
I just want to share it on the last episode about them doing a first look to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, that was weird.
But I don't really have. I'm trying to think. I've never had any weird fails or anything. I did fall over once during a first look into like a planter, I guess.
Okay.
So they're having their sweet moment, and I was trying to walk on the edge of like a raised garden.
Yeah.
Bed. It was like stone. I feel like I should have had plenty of room, but I just was so in the moment, like. Through the camera, I just misstepped and just fell backwards, and that's all right.
I've got two situations, and they're both similar. So one first look, it was in a vineyard, and for the first look, groom's set up, bride comes down, and when they turn around, the bride she burst out crying, but she also kind of like did not quite a farmer's blow. I think it was just pressure, and she shot
farmer's blow,
like when you plug your nostril and blow.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's congested. I have no idea what was going on. She just shot like snot directly at him on the first look. Like tears shot out at him, and then snot shot out of him. And it was probably one of the more unfortunate first looks because it was a very pretty location. Like the backdrop is in this real pretty vineyard.
Unbelievable.
And then it's just like, ka-cha! All over the groom. And he was real emotional too, so they kind of ignored it, which was nice because then they hugged, and they kind of hid that. Those photos worked. But those initial reactions, not great. Not great.
He's a better man than me.
And then another one was she gave herself a bloody nose. This bride gave herself a bloody nose with like her outburst of emotion, which, another reason for a first look is if that kind of crap's going to happen to you, you don't want that happening while you're coming down the aisle the first time you see your groom, and you're going to have that response. So I'm glad they did a first look there because they could get themselves cleaned up before going down the aisle.
I would love to see how that works out. If a bride had that happen to her coming down the aisle, because, everyone's going to see guests.
I don't know.
It takes the right kind of bride, The wrong kind of bride would just lose it. It wouldn't be great. Yeah. Some people might think it's kind of
runs
comical.
Away, hides in the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, oh, God, pull it together.
I've been watching so much Shrek lately. I just am imagining that in some sort of fairy tale cartoon. Dude, I've watched every episode or every movie in the franchise, really, including Puss in Boots, dude. I'm going down the Puss in Boots route.
Dude, the Puss in Boots movies are good.
Yeah.
I like them.
Yeah,
they're fun.
Mm-hmm.
Watch them with the kids.
But, all those are around weddings and love stories and blah, blah, blah.
I think Shrek was fun because it was a kid's movie, but to me, it was like one of the first animated films where they were like, yeah, it's a kid's movie, but we got to have stuff in here for the parents that's going to keep them entertained. Yeah. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, there's a scene in the first one where, it's Donkey and Shrek and the princess, they're in the woods, and it's the morning, they're waking up, and the princess is cooking eggs or something because she killed this bird, and Shrek's trying to wake up Donkey, but Donkey's like dreaming, and he's like, yeah, baby, yeah, ride me like that, he's like saying that. It's like, God, I missed all that. I was probably 17 or 18 when it came out, but I was
lost on you at the time.
I don't know, man. I was an evangelical Christian, and I missed all those things.
The sexual innuendos were
I was
over your head.
I was fleeing from all that.
Dude,
so
that's
I didn't.
So funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, those would be the only two crazy first look situations that I think I've had. Bloody nose and weird projectile tears and snot.
Right.
At the group.
Yeah, I've never heard of anything like that. So
yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well,
let me look at my notes here.
Oh, for first looks?
For first looks, yeah. See if
I can't think of anything else. Hopefully at this point, if you've made it this far, we've convinced you that it'd be a good thing for you and your significant other, fiance, spouse.
Winter weddings, couple seems less stress. Get to spend a day with your person. Yeah, I mean, I think like with spending the day with your person instead of when you elongate that time of not seeing your significant other, the emotions just build and build and build and build and build.
Yeah,
and
just anticipation.
It's all that's on your mind. You're so nervous. Most brides anyway, or grooms even, and it never fails. Like they're always. So then when you're trying to do like the bride and the bridesmaids, they're not as free. They're more rigid. Mm-hmm. The folks don't feel as loose and organic. For me, it's harder to like pose them because I can intuitively and emotionally tell like you're not present. Mm-hmm. Like, you're thinking about everything else. And so, yeah, first looks just get rid of all of that.
Yeah, and it's your wedding day. Like, who do you want to spend the day with?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't see your spouse to the aisle, that means you're hanging out with them with all your guests for the rest of the evening. Whereas, if you see them before, you get a little time with them. Just them. Which
is true, because the rest of the night is a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't slow down.
Yeah, I don't even remember my wedding.
Yeah,
I really don't. I mean, I had like 3 sips of beer, and but it was just there's just so many people I loved in one place.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember anything.
Right. And then, there's like the obligation of like people are trying to say hi. They're trying to congratulate you. Everyone's pulling your attention. You really don't get, unless you just rush the dance floor and you try and stay out there the whole night, or you sneak away at some point when people are distracted, you really don't get any time.
Yeah.
So yeah, another reason for the first look.
Well, anything else you want to talk about wedding wise? Any stories or regrets?
Regrets? Do you have any regrets?
Yeah, I have a couple of regrets.
Oh, okay. I'm curious. Well, let's end on your regrets.
Yeah.
Specifically for weddings. Let's not get. Okay. Yeah.
All right. I was like, man,
this could be from you and me both.
Yeah. This morning, actually, I never even shared this because I went on my weird tangent about whatever the hell I was talking Craigslist. But I started reading The Power of Now this morning, the Eckhart Tolle thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I've never read it. I hear about it a lot. And his, damn it, why am I telling this story?
I'm not sure. Regrets.
Oh, he just talks about not thinking about the past anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. There was a whole other point, but whatever. Wedding regrets. I regret that the very first year I started shooting weddings, I told myself, dude, you know what would be funny? Is if every wedding I go to, when I go to photograph the wedding dress, because, inevitably I photograph the wedding dress, I typically take it out of the room.
Yeah.
I wish I had put it on. Every wedding I photographed, I wish I just put the wedding dress on.
It's just terrible.
I'm 170 pounds now, but then I was on 145 when I
you
started.
could have probably done it at that point.
Yeah, I could have fit in most wedding dresses back then. A long time ago in high school, I went to like the Gap and put on some women's shorts because I was just curious. I wasn't by myself. I was with some friends. Is that good or bad? Anyways, I used to be a size.
No, it's fine. I
used to be a size 4. That's all I'm trying to say. I used to be a size 4 in women's clothing.
It's just the way you say. It's just the way you say.
I went to the women's Gap,
and I tried it on because I was curious. Like,
I just want to know. What size am I?
You were more concerned about the size.
Listen, in
my mind, it went like, how's this going to feel?
No, that's not as important to me. But like, okay. I just don't understand women's sizes. They don't make any sense. I used to date a woman who was a 00. Like 00 is not a size. 0 is not a size. 1 can be a size.
Yeah, I actually don't know what that means either. So just really tiny.
Yeah, very tiny. Yeah. So okay. I used to be size 4. So I think I could have fit into every wedding dress. Okay. So the idea was I would have put on every wedding dress from every wedding a photograph and take a selfie or a photo in it. And at this point, I'd have like 300 or 400 photos of me in wedding dresses. And it would be hilarious. I'd maybe make a real coffee table book for my kid to be confused looking at later in life. Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Like, man,
I regret it though.
That you probably could make a semi-autobiographical
and I'd be getting older in each one, you know?
Yeah. And then when you publish it,
I know.
You could probably sell that for like 150 at least.
You think
table book,
yeah. It would have been great.
Photo books are more hair, because it's pretty unique.
Wrinkles, and every month would be a new photo.
God, you really missed out on an opportunity there.
Yeah. Other regrets. Can I do one more?
Yeah, do one more.
Now this one is partly my personality is my fault for this, but also it's the celebrity wedding I photographed a couple of years ago that I didn't know was a celebrity wedding.
Oh yeah, this was funny.
So this couple found me on The Knot, which I've only been hired off The Knot at this point. I don't even advertise, but they found me.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was from The Knot, in my head I was like, this is probably a low budget wedding. I don't know. It was some private residence in Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
The whole day. I mean, once I got there, I knew they had money. But this is also in a scenario where they didn't hire a second photographer, so it was just me.
Right.
But I get there and just the jewelry they're wearing, the way they're communicating, I'm like, oh, okay, this is a fairly affluent family.
Mm-hmm.
So the ceremony happens, yada, yada, meals, whatever, we're at the reception. And then this woman comes up to me and she says, hey, can you take a photo of me and my friends from Malibu? I'm like, yeah, of course. So I take this group photo. And then I'm looking at this woman and I'm just thinking, damn, she looks familiar. So I zoom in on the LCD on the photo on the back of the camera. And I see this mole.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, as you know, that's when I realized.
Iconic mole.
I know. I just photographed Cindy Crawford.
Yeah. You had no idea.
I had no idea. And I started looking around the room and noticed there's like 15 or 20 celebrities at this wedding.
Yeah, because Charles Eston, who I photographed, was there with his wife, Patty.
Yep. Yeah.
Michael Moore was there, which is crazy.
The main guy from, what's the Karate Kids spinoff?
Mr. Miyagi?
No. The current one.
Will Smith?
Ah, dang it. No. It's a Karate Kid thing, but it's
adult. Jackie Chan.
I don't know.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
That's fine. But
anyway, celebrities.
Yeah. And so then I'm like, I wonder if I got any good photos of these celebrities, And I realized when I was editing the photos, I realized I took this photo of this woman holding this beautiful meat platter.
Oh my God.
During the dinner.
This is the part of the day that just drives me crazy.
And she doesn't know I'm photographing the meat platter. She thinks I'm photographing her.
Right, as she should.
I know. So she's just smiling and setting me up for this beautiful photo of Cindy Crawford, and I just focused on the meat.
We're gonna we should try.
We'll
try and throw this into a post because it's one of the most absurd photos I think I've ever seen, because it's literally Cindy Crawford looking beautiful, and she's got a family style tray that she's passing, and she looking directly at you, and perfectly framed. And what's in focus? Short rib. You're just like, what is going on?
Anyways, so
real.
I regret not knowing ahead of time. Hey, there might be some celebrities at this wedding, or taking a second photographer.
Right.
Would have shot it a little different.
Sorry, man.
Yeah.
This is something I think I could still pull off, but I regret not starting it yet. But one of the things, I do that group shot for every wedding. What I've kind of wanted to do is make like an Afghan of just and have it digitally printed squares of every one of those pictures I've taken over the years, and turn it into a big cover blanket for my bed. And my wife hates the idea and says it's incredibly creepy.
Wait, and what are the photos of?
Of the group shot of the couple kissing.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So it would just be like a few hundred photos of these random strangers kissing each other with people screaming at them in a big blanket that's on my bed.
That's amazing. It is kind of weird.
She hates the idea. I love the idea. I think it's fantastic. Or to like gift it to a stranger. or gift it to someone I kind of know. like a young couple getting married, it's like their wedding gift I give to them.
That would be awesome.
It's just
if you did that to every wedding.
This strangers, this blanket. That can fit a king size bed,
and you could tell them one day too. You'll have your photo on this blanket.
Yeah. Yep,
they'll love that.
And I don't know. I'm still working out the details. We'll figure it out, but I think there's some possibility there.
Yeah.
To do some stuff.
I would love that.
Yeah. So that's my regret. I haven't started it yet.
Yeah.
But I think
you still have time.
Well, what I could do is start giving it to new brides, new clients. Just come in with this huge ass blanket,
a welcome,
like a wedding gift, like a client gift. There it is.
Yeah, I think that'll sell.
I can't wait for the reviews to come through on Google for gosh. Great time. Love the photos. Weird ass gift though. Really freaked us out. That's how I imagine it starting. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, anything else?
I don't think so. I think either we've convinced people by now or we haven't.
I think it's still a divisive issue. I think people still...
This is very politically polarizing.
Yeah, I think people still get real mad when you say, do a first look, and they're like, it's not tradition. It's not meaningful. It takes away the meaning from the ceremony.
Looks are a Democratic thing or conservative Republican approach?
That's an interesting question. I don't know.
I think they're Democrat.
You think their first looks are Democratic?
Uh-huh.
Well, you're saying that because like what more conservative families will have more traditional values and that sort of thing?
I'm not necessarily actually tying this to anything real. I'm just thinking it's a more conservative approach than I'm
saying nowadays, as my couples are younger, that it doesn't matter politically.
Mm-hmm. It used to be
I would say there was probably a time where people were more apt to be like, no, we're Republican. We don't do first looks.
JFK didn't do a first look.
Right. And then nowadays it's like people are like, oh, are we still? I think people are like,
Bill Clinton did a first look.
Oh, God, Tom.
What?
I don't know where I'm trying to take this. Anyway, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you without
we're done.
Without getting really weird. Anyway, that's another episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. And join us next time for another episode.
Follow us, like us.
You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to podcasts. There'll be links and things like that. And thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.
Bye.